Hello, Dental A Team listeners. This is Kiera Dent, and I just wanted to say thank you so much for being part of my Dental A Team family. I seriously love doing this podcast. I thought I was going to hate it, and I love it. I love it so much because I get to connect with you. I get to hear how this podcast is helping you and your practice be better. So if you have loved this podcast and you are willing to share, I would greatly appreciate if you'll share with your friends, if you'll leave us a review, if you'll give us 5 stars, anything you can do. Just like you guys grow your practices, we're trying to grow this podcast to positively impact the world of dental. This is how we get to grow our Dental A Team family. Thank you so much for listening. I hope you enjoy the show. Hey everyone, welcome to the Dental A Team podcast. We're your hosts, Kiera Dent
and Dr. Mark Costas.
Mark and I had this crazy idea that maybe we could combine a dentist and a team member's perspective because let's face it, dentistry can be a challenging profession with those two perspectives. And Dental A Team podcast was created.
I'm a practicing dentist, a multiple practice owner, a dental performance coach, and the founder of the Dental Success Institute.
I've been a dental assistant, treatment coordinator, scheduler, biller, office manager, current practice owner, and international dental consultant. Mark and I don't just understand you, we are you.
Our goal is to positively impact the world of dentistry by sharing our lessons learned from the road in hundreds of dental offices.
2 perspectives, 1 mission, to help dental professionals reach their full potential. Welcome to the Dental A Team podcast. Hello, Dental A Team listeners. This is Kiera, and you guys, this is a pretty exciting episode because the other day I was going through all my emails and there was this email in there that said, the Dental A Team changed my life. And obviously I wanted to click on that. And it was this incredible hygienist who took the time to write me an email. And she said, Kiera, your podcast, the things you did literally changed me. And I took my fluoride. She's a hygienist in New Jersey. And she said, I took my fluoride from 37% back in March. And we are now in July. So and she emailed me, not in July. So it was just over 3 months time period. She was able to take it up to 97%. And she said the way she did it was from the Dental A Team podcast and from tips that we'd given her. I wanted to fall over because that was one of the coolest, awesomest compliments and made my entire day. I was on cloud 9. But B, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm getting this girl on the podcast because whatever she did, she was able to take the podcast, put it into real life. And I am so excited to bring on Kristen Shepherd. She's an awesome hygienist in New Jersey and have her talk to you guys. So Kristen, after that intro, thank you so much for joining me. How are you today?
Hey, Kiera, thank you so much. I'm doing really well. It's so nice to talk to you.
Likewise. So you just finished your day. You're a very active hygienist. You work full-time as a hygienist. So that's super fun. So tell the listeners just a little bit about you, kind of how you got into dentistry and just kind of tell us a little bit about you so they know your story so they can hopefully connect with you. And then we're going to dive into how you took the podcast and put it into reality. So.
Okay, Kiera. Yeah, so I was born and raised in New Jersey. When I was very young, I loved going to the dentist. It sounds so corny, but it was one of my favorite things to do. I would get so excited. I had an amazing dentist. She was just family care. So my parents saw the same dentist. They would let me climb on my mom's lap while she was getting her dentistry done.
That's awesome.
So I was all about it. I even had a stuffed horse that had a mouth that opened. So I begged my mom. She got me a little dental kit from the dollar store. I was 4 years old at this point. So
this is serious. You weren't even kidding how much you love the dentist. This is serious business.
No, I was all into it. So I started off when I was a teenager as just a dental float. I would do all the instruments. I would take out the garbage. I was trying to learn as much as I could. I then got trained to do chairside assisting, and then from there I went to hygiene school. So I graduated about 5 or 6 years ago. I've been practicing ever since, and if it weren't dentistry, I don't know what else I would be doing. This is it for me.
This is it. You are one of those lucky people that slid into your passion. You knew exactly where you wanted to go from an early age, and it's dentistry or bust. That's what you do, and you do a darn good job at it. So that's fantastic. So you've been a hygienist for about 8 years. Have you been in the same practice the whole time, or did you kind of go from a couple different practices?
So Well, it's about 5 years. That I've been
5 years.
hygienist,
Sorry about that.
Yeah, no, it's okay. No, I've been in a few different practices. The practice that I'm in now, they opened about 2 years ago, called True Dental Care. And they hired me about 6 months after they opened. So I was the first hygienist that they hired. I'm still right now, I'm their sole hygienist. Mm-hmm. So they are part pediatric and they are part general. So I typically see mostly adults. We have an amazing RDA who does the child prophy polishes, and then I'm doing mostly the adult dentistry.
Nice. Okay. And we're going to give a massive shout out because you're two doctors. It's a husband-wife duo, correct? That's the pediatric.
Oh my God. They are the best.
These are they're amazing people.
They didn't pay me to say that either.
No, they didn't. And they don't
great.
even know that we're podcasting. I don't think. I didn't tell them we're doing this. I don't know if you did or not, but I actually know your doctors, but I had no clue who you were, who you worked with until you sent me the email. And then I found out that you worked for these incredible doctors that I know. There's some really good friends, honestly. The wife of the duo, her and I talk about like what shoes we're going to buy. We talk about travel hacks. Like that's what we actually text about. We don't text about dentistry all the time. She's awesome. I just love these people, but it's a really, really incredible practice that you're a part of. So shout out to them. They're phenomenal. Everyone should be like them in my opinion. So
yeah, I completely agree. I feel very lucky that I found them and I'm very lucky that I found this practice and I'm very, very lucky that I got in at the beginning because they're trying so hard to do things the right way from the beginning.
Right. Exactly.
I mean, obviously, going into practices where things are kind of falling apart at the seams and it's chaos. So
yes, I secretly love those because I get to come in and like solve all the problems and I do love that. But man, working in that, not fun. So two sides of that coin for sure. Okay, great. So you've been in dentistry for 5 years. So let's talk about this. 37%, Kristen, that's reality of your fluoride case acceptance. And now you're sitting, you told me even before we got on the podcast that you're sitting average 97, but you even have some weeks and you're not just seeing fluff schedule. You're having a full schedule, packed schedule, and you're getting even 100% fluoride case acceptance.
Yep.
This is real life, you guys.
Yeah.
This is your real life. I am just like on cloud 9 and you're doing it. You're doing it. So let's talk about it. Walk us through this story because I know that there are so many hygienists and this is why I love it because I've never been a hygienist. So many of them tell me, Kiera, there's no way I could do 100% fluoride or you know what, Kiera? No, because there's just people that we wouldn't give fluoride to. And that's obviously where I come in and say, guys, I was that patient. Don't hold out on me, educate me. But you're a hygienist and you've done it 37% to 100% in 3 months. So talk us through, what did you do? How did you even get on board with this? Walk me through the process for you of how you took a thought and made it a reality.
Okay. Yeah. So, fluoride is definitely something that I have always believed in, but I feel like working in practices that were so dependent just on insurance, it had been kind of drilled into my head that you only offer things that are covered by insurance. Even when it comes to child fluoride, I remember kids age out of fluoride at 15 or 16 and my office manager would literally say, don't do fluoride because it won't be covered. There was never a discussion of talk to the parents and see if, they're on board, explain the benefits and all of this. So it was just ingrained in my mind, don't even offer it, don't talk about it. So when I started with True Dental Care, Dr. Dan had said, we offer adult fluoride for people who are high risk. We offer prescription strength toothpaste. We're really big on preventative and thinking, wow, that's great. But I needed just a little bit of help feeling comfortable talking about it. There was a point a few months ago, he had come to me and said, listen, Kristen, you're doing great, but you're not doing any fluoride. Why aren't you doing any fluoride? Do you not believe in it? Or is it that you just don't feel comfortable talking about it? Do you not have time to talk about it? What's going on? And I explained to him, I believe in it. I just don't want people to think that I'm trying to sell them something. I don't want them to think that I'm trying to just get money out of them. So as soon as it clicked in my brain that I'm not trying to sell them something, I'm trying to help them, everything completely changed for me.
That's awesome. Okay.
Yeah. So I challenged myself one day. I'm like, okay, I'm going to talk to every single patient today about fluoride. If they say no, then they say no. And through that, I will kind of figure out the best way and the verbiage that works the best so I can communicate it to them.
Let me get on the same timeline from you. So did Dr. Dan talk to you before or after you'd heard the podcast? Like, kind of walk us through how this thing, because you obviously had a conversation with Dr. Dan. So he brought that to your awareness. So doctors, I think it's okay to have this conversation with your hygienist. Like, you're living proof, Kristen, that, you know, he brought this to your attention, but kind of walk me through the timeline of how this all played out.
So we were preparing to go to the Dental Summit in Arizona in March.
With Dr. Mark Costas, right? That one?
With Dr. Yes.
Awesome.
Yes, that one.
Okay.
Yeah. And Dr. Dan had said, you know, we're really going to start like, you know, implementing things and tracking things. And I'm noticing that you're not doing any fluoride. And even at that time, I was just very much like, oh my God, we're having this conversation. I'm not doing great, or, you know. And so a couple of days later, we went to the summit. I was introduced to the Dental A team for the first time, and I started listening to the podcast, like literally on like the plane on the way home. I started listening to you guys.
That's awesome.
And that's really when it started rolling for me. I would say like that week that I got back, that's when I started tracking things, and that's when I started, you know, really talking to my patients about it.
Okay. All right. So you went in to talk to him, and I love that you challenge yourself. I like a lot of things about this. One, I like that you talk about how it really feels when your doctor talks to you. Like, that doesn't feel super awesome. And I love that you even said it took like a couple of days. You had to churn that over, mull it over. But then I love that you decided to take action. So start educating yourself, listening to the podcast, and then you challenged yourself and said, okay, like, I'm going for this. I'm going to talk to every patient. So how did that go? Like, how was the fumbling, or was it 100% right off the bat? Like, what happened when you decided, like, okay, I'm doing this, let's start tracking it? What happened from there?
Yeah. So, you know, in the beginning, I think that even though I was saying it to a lot of my patients, I wasn't driving it home, and I wasn't saying like, okay, great, let's do this at the end of your appointment. I was more taking the stance of, okay, well, you know, this would really help you. And, you know, it is available. It's $45. Okay, bye. You know, and I would kind of just like skirt that.
This is such real life. This is so real, Kristen. You are saying it exactly real. And I hope you guys also could hear the first one when you're like, let's get this done. It's a very confident, direct approach. It's like, yep, okay. And the other one's like, well, okay, please don't break up with me. And if you do, like, I'm just going to leave, like, see you later, bye.
Exactly. Yes. Or there was other instances where I would like set it up really well. I would say, this is going to help you. You know, it's going to, you know, make sure that all of these like tiny little incipient areas don't turn into like things that need to be filled. But then I wouldn't say how much it was, and I wouldn't say, let's do it today. And I would kind of set it up and then almost let Dr. Dan finish it. But like, how annoying is that for him? That's not his job.
That's a good point. You're right on. It really is.
Yeah. So it's like, okay, well, I'm kind of helping you out there, doc, but it's, you know, that's, you know, my responsibility. Right. So
totally. Okay. So what is your magic phrase? And I love that you said, like, let's get this done today. And you mentioned before that you listened to the podcast that I did with Paige. I think we titled it Only $35 about the fluoride treatment for it. So what did you change? I'm hearing the exact verbiage. So what is your magic verbiage that you found that like you're landing it every single time? And you guys have a pretty expensive fluoride. 45 is higher than most. I've heard anywhere from my favorite. They charge, I think, like $11 in an office. And I was like, whoa, you guys are real cheap. All the way up. I think you guys are actually one of the highest at 45. And I love that you're one of the highest, because that even shows that no matter what price point you are, patients still say yes. So what is the magic verbiage? What have you done to be, you're crushing it consistently at this 97 to 100% ratio for fluoride? What do you say? What do you do?
So I have to kind of put a lot of it on the fact that we take intraoral pictures on every patient and we show them their x-rays. So we have a flat screen TV mounted into the ceiling. So when they're laid back and I'm taking the pictures, they can see it directly there for themselves. and I can pull up their x-rays and show them. So I first have a conversation about what I'm seeing on the teeth. Is it, visual cavities on the teeth and on the x-rays? Is it enamel erosion? And is it wear and recession? So those are the things that I really hone in on, because those are the things that fluoride is going to help. I mean, fluoride is going to help everyone for a different reason. Mm-hmm. But when patients can actually see that, and then I say, don't worry, like, we can help prevent these things from getting worse, and we can actually treat your sensitivity with fluoride. It's super easy. I can just paint it on right at the end of your appointment. You can eat and drink right away. It's $45, but the value of it completely like outweighs the cost. And like that line, I think, is really helpful. And people are always like, yeah, it's $45. Like, let's do it.
That's awesome.
So really going into like the small investment that you're going to make with fluoride varnish to avoid having to one day do, 20 fillings on all of your interproximal incipient cavities. Mm-hmm. It's like a no-brainer, so that's been really helpful with them being able to actually, see what I'm talking about.
Absolutely.
Trying to explain it isn't going to do it justice.
Okay, we're going to role play right now. This is going to be so fun, and you're not even prepped for this, but it's going to be awesome because I hear this all the time, and I know you've had to work through this with every single patient. So I'm going to present as a different patient a couple of times, and I want to hear what you would say to me for fluoride, and don't worry, you're obviously crushing it, so you're going to be great. So, okay, I am a patient who... I'll just say it's my, so I am a 33-year-old girl, and let's say I've got a couple cavities and a little bit of recession. What would you say to me to help me get fluoride?
Hey, Kiera. So, today we found a few cavities. Luckily, it's pretty localized just to a few teeth. I am seeing some other areas that don't necessarily need to be filled yet, but they could potentially get there. I would recommend a fluoride treatment for those areas so that the cavities don't increase and go onto other teeth. But I'm also noticing that you have some recession along your gum line. Do you ever get sensitive in those areas?
Yeah, I do all the time.
Yeah, so, fluoride another reason, it's really like a 2-for-1. It's going to help protect you from getting cavities. It's also going to help with cold and sleep sensitivity. So, I think it's a no-brainer. What do you feel about it?
Totally. I'm in. And I'm sure I love when you say, like, let's do this today. It's $45 out of pocket, because that, or as the final part of your treatment today, we're going to do a fluoride varnish, and it's $45, and I've got bubblegum mint or salted caramel. What do you prefer? Because that, and I heard you at the very beginning, you're confident, you're very direct in it. And I love that you also asked me. And so it wasn't just telling me, you actually engaged me into the process of, hey, do you ever get sensitivity? Yeah, I do all the time. Because then I'm actively listening as opposed to just being talked to. So good work on that. I loved how you did that. Okay. You ready for another patient?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Okay. So let's say I am 45 and I've never had a cavity in my life. Would you recommend fluoride to me or not?
Yeah, definitely. So
I didn't pay her, guys, but this is so good. I love this. What would you say?
So I would say, Kiera, I am so happy for you. 45 years, no cavities. That is amazing. However, I want you to remember that you're not immune to them. So I want you to keep going with this no cavity streak. Fluoride, it's the easiest way for this to happen. You don't have to do anything at home. Nothing special. I just paint it on for you. It's going to do everything we can so that you don't end up getting any cavities.
Nice. Let's do that today. $45 out of pocket, and it's great. I love it.
Yeah.
Because, and this is something I was talking to a doctor the other day, and she was like, Kiera, I don't think every patient needs fluoride. And it was awesome. I love, love, love when hygienists or doctors tell me this, because I remind them, you guys, I was a patient that did not have cavities. And I had no clue that fluoride or fluoride toothpaste were even an option, because my healthcare provider decided, because they didn't want to talk to me about it, that I just wasn't a candidate for it. And I think okay, well, if I went to a medical doctor and they see that I have cancer and they just think I don't want treatment, so they're going to offer me vitamin C, no, You are a healthcare provider.
Exactly.
Like, your job is to educate me. Don't withhold treatment or options that could be proactive and preventative that I could benefit from. Let me make that choice. And if I don't want it, that's fine. But at the same time, you educated me, because guess what? Habits change, lifestyles change. I grow, I evolve. Like, what if you get pregnant? Your whole body will change. You're not going to have the same salivary. You're going to have different reasons why you might get that. I watched people who all of a sudden started drinking, no joke, Crystal Light. So they'd been no cavity club for their entire life. They switched in 6 months and started drinking Crystal Light lemonade. And they came in and the entire family had like 7 cavities a person. And we're like, what happened to you? Those things can happen. And I believe that when you tell them about fluoride and fluoride toothpaste, it's a preventative service, that just because they've never had a cavity, like, I love how you said it, that you're not immune to it. You literally can have that. And these are different ways to talk about it. Nice work.
Exactly. Yeah. Yes. And just to go on that, like, I started thinking about it in a way. It's like, who am I to decide what my patient is going to want? You know, like, by me not talking about it, it's saying that, you know, this patient just doesn't want it. This patient doesn't need it, but they were never given that chance. So it's not up to me to make that decision. It's up to them.
I love that point, because at the end of the day, as healthcare professionals, our job is to educate. Our job is to tell them, you guys, I don't know about you, but I do not go and read ophthalmology and read about I don't read about podiatry. I don't go read. I mean, my husband's a pharmacist. I don't care about 98% of the drugs on the market. Like, I don't research that stuff. So when I go and talk to my pharmacist, or I go talk to my podiatrist, or I go talk to the ophthalmologist, I have not researched all the treatment that could be done for me, or that I should have found, or because I don't really know what I should even be researching. That's our patients in dentistry. Odds are they're probably not researching fluoride or the benefits of it, or why they should do it, or different things, or even if that it's an option. And so because of that, just because it's been one way forever does not mean don't even offer it. So what would you say to a hygienist? Like, you were the hygienist. Were you offering fluoride a lot to your patients before the last 3 months? Were you offering it very often?
No.
Okay. So a lot of hygienists stress about this. They say, well, Kiera, I've never offered it to my patients. I've been a hygienist for 5 years and I've never offered it. Now you want me to start offering it? Like, how did you overcome that hurdle?
Right. So that was definitely tough, because, you know, even though I've only been at this practice for a year and a half, I mean, if somebody's on a 6-month recall, I've now seen them 3 times. So I struggled with, well, why didn't I struggled with the patient's thinking to themselves, well, why didn't she offer that to me at my first cleaning or my second cleaning? Why is it now? And then I just told myself, who knows if the patient is thinking that? That's a story that I'm making up about my patient. It's better than me not offering it at all. And even then, I mean, things change, you know, like, say my patient 6 months ago had 5 fillings done, and now I'm seeing them again. It's very easy for me to say, great, I'm so glad that we took care of all of the cavities in your mouth. Now let's start protecting those teeth that we did the fillings on, as well as teeth that don't have cavities, from getting cavities. We don't want to do any more dentistry on you. We want to just see you twice a year, even though we really like you. But let's just stop with the fillings. So that's really easy.
I like that you said that things could change, because this is a hurdle I hear all the time, Kristen, from hygienists, of I haven't offered it. And I think there's an embarrassment piece. I don't know for sure, but I would imagine there's a little bit of an embarrassment. And I love that you said it's just a story. Who knows if they're actually thinking that? That is the truth for every single position. If you're a dental assistant, like, who knows if they're actually thinking that? I was in an office and like, well, Kiera, our patients are going to know we're like cramming in same day treatment. And I said, they don't know this. They have no clue. And they're like, well, we're hiring a new person. They're going to just think it's chaos. And I'm like, they don't know that unless you present that. These are just stories and excuses we tell ourselves that's not even real. That was brilliant. I love that so much.
Yeah, I mean, it's very true. Like, I spent a lot of time, you know, kind of worrying about what patients would think of me. Am I being pushy? Am I trying to upsell them? Am I, you know, are they going to think that I'm offering something they don't really need? And again, like, it's not my choice, you know, to offer them something or not, for them to make a decision on something that I'm going to offer them. So
awesome. That's brilliant. I love that so much. Okay. So in the final wrap up today, Like what I love is, one, thank you for telling me that the podcast has impacted you. That meant so much to me, and I just appreciate that. But more than that, I really appreciate you hopping on this and telling people how you took the podcast and made it into a reality. So what would you suggest for people that are listening? Like, how do you even start? What did you do of a starting place? Or if you've got reservations, like what would be some tips that you'd offer people to just get started? Because it doesn't just have to be fluoride. This could be perio. This could be sealants. This could be same-day treatment. This could be offering bigger treatment plans. Like, it can apply to any person in the practice. It can even apply to a dentist of talking about treatment to your patients and not being afraid of bigger treatment plans, because that's also a piece. So what would you recommend for people to not just listen and be passive, but actually become active and implement? What tips would you have for people?
Yeah, so I would say first thing is just remember that your patient is not like a big, scary person. Your patient is there for your help and for your opinion. So just really think about it as, how much can I help this person today? That would be number one. Number two, look at your schedule and set a goal for yourself. Your goal does not have to be 97% fluoride. Your goal can be 50% fluoride. Your goal can be even just talking about fluoride with half of your patients, so that you start getting used to the words coming out of your mouth and to start seeing the way that your patients react to it. Don't beat yourself up if 3 out of your 5 patients say, no, that's okay, I'm fine. And then you don't keep going. Don't stress yourself out. Just know that the more you do it, the more comfortable you're going to get. And that eventually you're going to look back at your week and say, wow, I did fluoride on 90% of my patients this week. Wow, that was 90% of my patients that I wasn't even going to offer it to before, but now have an improved oral health because of me. Like, I did that. And you start feeling really amazing. And then all of a sudden it's like, no, fluoride is just something that I do now. It's just part of my routine.
I love that.
Something else that's actually helped me, which I didn't mention before. So, I have all of my trays set up. I have my perio cassette, and I have my prophy angle and my prophy polish and my floss. And now fluoride varnish just goes right onto my pre-made tray. So it comes into the room and I see it, and it's like, nope, I'm staying accountable and I'm going to offer this to that patient. Even if they're a difficult patient, even if they're a patient who denies treatment all the time, even if they're a patient that every time they come in, I'm like rolling my eyes in the back of my head because, we all have those patients that we just kind of cringe a little bit at. Mm-hmm. No, it's on my tray. I'm going to offer it to them. If they say no, then they say no.
That's brilliant. Okay. So you literally, I also would say, as an outsider, I think you tracking yourself has also helped, because what we track, we achieve. And, they say if you didn't even know at the beginning when it was like you were at 37% when you first started tracking, you didn't even know. I just mentioned, I was talking to an office about our consulting reappointments, and I had no clue. I thought we were doing super, super great. And as soon as I started tracking, I was like, wow, there's a broken system in my consulting business that we need to fix. Mm-hmm. So we have better see care. Same thing with every person in the office, whomever you are, start tracking. Every person in the office should have a number. And I love that you said, see your patients just as a patient. They're not a big, scary person. I love that you said you put it on your fluoride and on your tray, and it's just become part of your routine. And that's just what you do now. And I love that you've pushed yourself to see this, and now this is your new normal. I'm sure you would look back and think like, there's no way I'd ever go back. Like I just wouldn't do that. That's no longer normal for me to do 37%. It's normal for me to see all my patients. And when one says no, it's like, why not? Let me work my verbiage a little bit to get that one person to finally say yes. And that's become your new normal. And I think for everyone listening, I love that you were the person at 37% fluoride, and in 3 months, look at the progress you made because you took action and started, as opposed to just listening and hoping. The other day, somebody told me, don't be afraid of failure. Be afraid of being in the same spot a year from now. And I thought that was so perfect, especially dealing with what we're dealing with right now. Like, just start right now. You're never going to know. You'll never fix the verbiage, excuse me, unless you start trying today. So Kristen, gosh, any final thoughts? Because you've literally crushed this podcast. I've loved it. I've learned so much. Any final thoughts at the end of it?
Yeah, honestly, you're thanking me so much, but, I wrote that email for a reason. I really want to thank you because so I'll start by saying, there's not a lot of podcasts or actually any others that I know of that are really directed at the team members. And that's been missing. And I'm so glad that so many other people now get to actually hear about this and say, wow, like that resonates with my life and my career. So it has helped me so much. I feel so much more confident at work, and just in myself in general, that I'm able to actually say these things to my patients, and I'm seeing real progress. So thank you so much.
Oh my gosh, thank you. And you guys, this is exactly why I built the podcast, because I realized as a team member, there was nothing out there that I felt was really benefiting the teams. And I feel we're such an underserved with education and knowledge and ideas and tips. And that's why I built it. So Kristen, thank you for being a testimonial of what this podcast was made for, and also the reality of what can happen when you guys implement, you try, and then share it back, because then I can pick up you guys, just like I did with Kristen, put you on the podcast, share how you're actually doing it, how it's working for you, and we can all level up. So thank you again so much for taking time, for being on the podcast, and for being part of our Dental Team family. I really, really appreciate you.
All right, thanks, Kiera.
You're welcome. All right, guys, this is Kristen Shepherd on the Dental Team podcast, and I'll catch you guys next time. And that wraps it up for another episode of the Dental Team podcast. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll talk to you next time.